What's up? How's everybody doing? Hope you're all doing great. I am doing fantastic. I slept a lot of the day today and it's like 3 in the morning. I'm such a night owl. Um, Even when I don't sleep most of the day, I am still a night owl. I used to think it was because I was afraid of missing out on something, but now I know that's not it because I will miss out on whatever. I have had enough action in my life. I am good. Um, it seems like no matter what time it is, um, in my apartment building, it's so quiet, especially when I take a shower at 3 in the morning and then I get out of the shower, I can hear someone else taking a shower at 3 in the morning, no matter what time it is. If it's 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 5 p.m., 3 in the morning, I always hear someone else taking a shower. And there's only 4 apartments here, so it's weird, but it made me think of this video that I saw the other day on my feed, and it was about because there's a bunch of stuff about Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber out right now because Justin's acting all weird, and someone did a series on how his wife stalked him before she was his wife, and I didn't watch all. There's like a whole series, but I did watch a little bit of the video about the summary of it just to see what that was all about. And at first I was like, I shouldn't be wasting my time on this, but the more I watched it, the more I was intrigued because I did that video on a sympathetic magic, and it seems like that is exactly what she did because she has not only stalked him many times, she's in the background of all these events of him and before they were ever together, and then all of the eerie things that she did to Selena, like um, posing in the exact same outfits as her for pictures, saying the exact same things that she said in interviews, and having to really search for some of these interviews because they weren't like mainstream things. So that's like major major level, like level 10 stalker there. But it worked for her. She got her guy. But it also made me think about something I saw on the community board because I haven't been listening to much tarot at all. But someone that I used to listen to that does tarot had posted just a paragraph on the community board about readings that she's been doing, both collective and private, and how the divine feminines have fully stepped into their purpose, and that the divine masculines needed them to activate first because the divine masculine's role is not to make the changes but to toe the line and protect the divine feminine. So he can't do his job until she's fully activated and in her purpose. And if you follow these things, which I haven't followed them recently, but it's making sense with the things that I have seen lately so that it's relevant. And I've never seen it this relevant before, so that's why I'm talking about it. But yeah, the reader said that it was coming out in a lot of her readings, and that the Jezebels, the one who had like basically pulled off the sympathetic magic on the low vibrating divine masculine, and had tricked him into thinking that she was, the one with the juice. And they're waking up, and the Jezebels are pissed, the ones that had lured them with lust and sex and, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, all of the low vibrational things, trying to keep them out of activating and stepping into their purpose. And I thought, this is just like that scenario. I've tried to use other examples about the sympathetic magic and people trying to use destiny swaps because it happens all the time. But the only way that you can pull it off is somebody is in low vibrations. They have to be in the same vibration as you or lower. If you are a higher vibrational person, that stuff is just going to bounce right off. you're not going to be able to pull off the essence and that authenticity of that person, no matter how much you try to um, start moving in the direction, or taking a shower at 3 in the morning when somebody else is taking a shower at 3 in the morning, or cooking dinner whenever they cook dinner. And I'm just using that as an example. I'm not saying it's happening in my apartment building, but that's what Haley did to Selena. She pretty much tried to mirror her every action and initiate those things in order to pretend to be her essence. And because Justin has been going through shit, total shit, these past few years with all the Diddy stuff and having been abused and, you know, going to the Lord, he's been very vocal about giving his life to the Lord. And then recently he has been looking pretty rough in those pictures. But if I must say, in Justin's defense, his falsetto is angelic. Like, I love him. I love his voice. And if you watched him and Selena together ever, it's undeniable, that chemistry. So I know that she has moved on, and there's been a lot of things that have taken place between the divine feminine and the divine masculine. You know, if you look at that even close to a twin flame journey, which I'm not pursuing, no matter what anybody says. I do talk about it though, that it's a runner chaser dynamic. And after so much has been done, even when the divine feminine is in her purpose and then the divine masculine activates and leaves the Jezebel or whatever low vibrational person, place, thing, activities that they've been immersed in, will the divine feminine really be open to taking them back? Now, they might throw some advice, some spiritual bath ingredients into the trenches with the divine masculine who's trying to work his way out, waking up and trying to, you know, get in line with his purpose and activate. But I don't really know how many will be open at this point to accepting that contract, and how many haven't completely broken it and abandoned it and walked away from it completely already. It's just my little spiritual soap opera commentary for today. That's not really what I wanted to talk about. It just made me think about that with the whole shower thing, because it seems like somebody's always in the shower when I'm in the shower, no matter what time of day you want, and that is super weird. But it reminded me of this whole divine feminine masculine thing and that sympathetic magic, because it seems like it did work on Justin, but I really don't think they'll be together forever, because that wasn't authentically her. She was copying someone else in order to get him, and in however that didn't work out, I'm not sure, but I think he turned to that because it was seemingly the same, or it filled the void of that undeniable chemistry that they had, because she had mimicked it so well. But it's not real. You know, no one can block what God has for you. No one can be you, especially when it comes to the gifts that God has for you. He created you. You are him. You can't trick God. You may trick someone that has fallen into a lower frequency or has lower vibrational tendencies and activities. But you can't trick the Lord, so no one can ever truly, forever pull it off. They may be able to delay it, but they can never step into your shoes. Like, you can only put that mask on for so long until the Lord is like, okay, you've gone down that road far enough. Well, let's expose you for who you really are. But mark my word, it'll happen. It'll happen with that situation, because that's exactly what Haley Bieber did to get Justin. So you guys watch that play out. Whether you like those people or not, I don't. I do like Justin's voice, but other than that, I'm just observing human behavior and these beings and what they've done and how it correlates to the things that I've talked about. And you mark my word, this will unravel. And I don't know if Selena will ever take him back or not, but that was his true divine feminine. So let's see. Let's see how it works out. But the only thing, the last thing I'll say about that is, you're wasting your time, you're wasting your divine purpose, your whole contract that you co-created with Source, all of your energy. The only thing that can block it is you. So while you're doing that, trying to force something that wasn't ever meant to you to be yours and take it from someone else and replace them with something that you can't keep up forever. It's not your essence. It's not your gifts. It's not your plan. It's not your purpose. God had something totally different, but equally as spectacular for you, and you have blown it to shit. Wasting all this time. You have taken it away from yourself by trying to take what is someone else's that they're going to get anyway. Eventually, they're going to get anyway. They just have to not give up. They just have to keep moving forward. It'll be theirs eventually, and then you'll be exposed for the phony that you were. And then you will have blown all of your gifts and your path and your destiny to shit and have pie in your face. So don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Don't do that. What I wanted to really talk about today, I'm 11:11 on the clock as I begin my actual message, is this beautiful soul, this refreshing being that I was just so happy and blessed to be in the presence of. I guess it's 2 days ago now. I would say yesterday, but it's after we're on to Friday now, so it was 2 days ago, technically. And I would mention her by name, but all I'm going to do is mention the pronoun because she knows that I have a channel and she might watch me one day, even though I didn't tell her the name of it. But if you Google my name, all that pops up is YouTube. So she knows my name. And maybe one day she will find it and she will listen to this message and she will know just by the proximity in which I am talking about her that this is about her. I would not mention it because I have so many haters at this point, and I do not want any beautiful soul out here having anything tainted because of their involvement with me at all. I know some of the other people that have channels and they're already have an online presence. That's different because they know a lot of stuff that's going on in these energies and they are fully ready and prepared for you. So bring it if you want. They're not about the shits and giggles. So do it if you want, but they're ready for you. But this person, I would never do that to. She is an empath and she is very creative, very artistic. And in my time with her, I saw her glow. I saw the beauty of her soul. I felt her warmth. And the light, the pilot light, is lit. And the thing that I took away from my time being in her presence was humility and vulnerability. And it's very rare for me as an empath, especially nowadays, because I'm pretty closed off. I do love my encounters with other people, but they're not very in depth right now because of what I'm going through. And I know that that will change. But right now, it's just not the time for me to be I'm open to experiences, but I'm not like just, wide open. So there's a difference. But nobody from my past at all. And she's not from my past. And she's also an empath. And so to have met another empath, one who I felt like a sisterly kind of bond, because empaths typically become empaths for the same reason. They are a common denominator. You have developed these skills and honed in on reading energies because it is a protection, a defense that you have built up, and the sixth sense that you've developed because you needed to in order to be prepared for whatever was coming your way in your environment. You've had to stay 10 steps ahead so that you could protect yourself, whether it was from a narcissist or bullies or whatever negative energies you had in your life, to where you had to be very calculated and you had to know all of the cues, all of the body language, all of the patterns and behaviors so that you would know how to act. It makes us very codependent, especially when we're younger. And then growing up, it's cool when you actually realize what you've done and these skill sets that you have. It's cool, but then, you have strangers coming to you, telling you their life stories. You're just very like a sponge with these things before you can actually learn how to set boundaries and cleanse your energy and learn how, to decipher what is your energy and what is not your energy and how not to let everything in. It takes a lot of growth, a lot of identification. And so we talked about that a lot. And I was just so refreshed at how authentic and genuine and just how she's fully in her purpose, not specifically, but she knows that she wants to be of service and help others. She's very generous with the way that she wants to be of service in the world, some way, somehow. I know that she is bursting at the seams with love, much like I am. We've gone through separate things, but there's no mistake or no coincidence in how someone ends up on your path. And I was very much supposed to have met this person, and I'm so glad that I did. And I wanted to hug her. I wanted to protect her at all costs. I didn't. I wasn't a stage 5 clinger. I wasn't a weirdo, but it was so awesome to be in the presence of someone that I felt a connection with on a spiritual level, on a intellectual level, on a vulnerable level. Now, when I talk about humility, I'm going to read to you a little bit because I wanted some concrete basis for this. Humility, quality of being humble, having a modest and low view of one's own importance, talents, and achievements, and not to be mistaken for low self-esteem. Humble is being realistic, not negative. So I'm not using that. I don't want anybody to take that definition and be like, oh, she's putting her down. She doesn't know. No, she knows how talented she is, and she knows how talented the people around her are, and she wasn't shy about giving shout outs or credit to other people. She's very proud of what she's involved in and what she's built and how far she's come. I can tell she's very confident in herself, but she's not a bragger. She's not conceited. She's not, she's very aware, I would say, very aware and very conscious. And then we talked about some things like, she opened it up with, we had already talked about the empath thing, but she opened it up with how filling her own cup, and that sometimes we talked about how that can feel selfish, but I told her that you can never feel from an empty cup, and to not ever feel selfish about that the world tries to make us feel that way, and sometimes others try to make us feel that way when they want us to keep giving and giving and giving. But that you have to, that anyone that you help take care of is only as good as you are if you're filling their cup from yours, but you're not filling your own cup first. You're not loving yourself fiercely and spoiling yourself and taking care of yourself and giving yourself those positive affirmations and treating yourself every now and then and taking yourself on dates and being kind to yourself as far as not talking negatively or talking down to yourself, all of those things, that it's very important that you fill your own cup first. And I know that she tries to take care of others around her, and I didn't want her to feel selfish in her own self-care journey. And I tried to give her some pointers on how to cleanse her energy and talked about boundaries as far as not absorbing and being a sponge. We talked about shadow work, and she was already open to, we talked about the power of now and how I'm reading that book and how she hasn't, but we were already touching on the topics and the projections from the past and the future, and how we're not, it's very important to stay in the moment. And then she also brought up how someone that she had talked to before about these things was talking to her about detaching, and how, ascension or um, leveling up in any way had to do with detaching from things, and um, becoming less and less your physical self, and how that was something that she couldn't understand or couldn't wrap her brain around. I don't remember how she said it, but it is something that I still have trouble with too, because when I listen to I'm very much into the now and the oneness. I'm with it. I'm with it. But when it comes to completely detaching from everything in this 3D world, it kind of opened up the door for me to tell her about my channel and about my intuition and the things that I was going through. And I told her how, if you go through something traumatic and it does involve attachments or labels and the identity that those things have given to you, that you have to detach in order to keep putting one foot in front of the other and moving forward. And so she had thought about someone whose mother had lost a child, and they were very much like a time capsule, frozen in that moment in time, and like just never moved forward, was completely, depressed and not being productive and not themselves. And how that made sense, because if you didn't learn how to detach, that you were going to be stuck, and that's what I don't want anybody to be. I don't want anybody to be stuck. So we talked about that. So it did open the door for me to be vulnerable. And in looking at vulnerability, everything at first, as far as the connotation given to it, was negative, negative, negative. This is a risk that you're taking. What else did it say? A gap in the system, exposure to harm, liability, a state of being susceptible to harm, attack, or influence, encompassing both physical and emotional aspects, can be a weakness, a flaw, to be exploited, leading to potential negative outcomes. That's all that it talked about, all of those things. And I was like, but wait, because in meeting this person of great humility, and another empath, that empaths, we have this feature about ourselves that puts others at ease. That's how strangers notice our light, that they flock to us. It also brings about the energy vampires that try to suck you dry and keep you hidden and use you for their own, gain, for their own power source, to be their own battery supply. But if you learn how to keep those boundaries and, you know, stiff arm those people and keep them away and protect your energy and cleanse your energy, it can be a beautiful thing to be an empath. It is a great set of characteristics. It is a superpower to be able to read energy. Like, you can use that to your advantage all day, every day. Want to learn how to hold strict boundaries and to have that discernment and recognize when things are good and bad, and when to let people in and when to not let people in, so that you don't absorb or be sucked dry. But other things I wanted to say about humility, that all were things that this person encompassed, was modesty, awareness of their limitations, by recognizing, something that someone else does, that they're not like specialized in, it's not part of their aesthetic, and giving that person credit and their flowers and even references, um, just being aware of their imperfections, or where their strengths lie and where others' strengths lie, by focusing on others. And that was the part of the don't be selfish, to fill your own cup first, because she was prioritizing the needs and perspectives of others, and I just didn't. That's valuable, very valuable. I didn't want her to only do that above herself, to put herself above all of that and possess that as well. But gratitude, openness to learn. This is a person that the path that she's on is not the path that she intended for herself, but somewhere along the line, the people that she met and the opportunities that arose, she unlocked a totally new level for herself. And she's doing something that she never thought that she would end up doing. And she is excelling hardcore at it. I mean, amazing, amazing. I was so impressed with her skills. The lack of arrogance, and in having all of these, you open yourself up to personal growth, self reflection, stronger relationships, effective leadership, being responsible, and in service to others. And in being in the presence of someone like that, someone could see those things as a vulnerability. But to me, in being very much like that myself and seeing a lot of myself in her, a younger version she was of me. And of course, like I said, we have not gone through the same things. She's not a carbon copy of me, but I saw a lot of myself in her. And with someone being at a certain level of density out of the 3D, she's very much stepped out of the 3D. She's open. She's asking the questions. She's exploring the possibilities. She knows that there's more. And so that's when I'll open myself up to someone. That's when I know that they are ready to learn and that they are going to really take it in. It's not going to be somebody that's going to mock me. It's not going to be somebody that's just going to scoff at it and just throw it out the window. It's somebody that's ready. Their light is lit, the spark, the flame. She's holding it. She's very much in her purpose, and she was being vulnerable with me, and so I was being vulnerable with her, and that is a beautiful thing, and that is something that shouldn't be capitalized upon to hurt anyone. And that was all that I saw about vulnerability when I looked it up, was that it's a weakness. And I don't think it's a weakness at all. You just have to know when to be vulnerable and who to be vulnerable with. It can be such a strength. And I wrote down reasons why in case I got on a tangent. And you foster genuine connections, authenticity within those relationships, emotional growth, a crucial part of the human experience to be vulnerable. Because if you're not vulnerable with anybody, you miss out on so many things, on so many people, so many experiences. And that's what I was doing when I was being shy. It wasn't because I had been, well, some of it was because I had narcissists in my life and I didn't want to be open to everybody, but I was sheltered. I didn't want to open my mouth and talk to people. I spent a lot of my time observing, calculating behaviors, clocking this, clocking that, so that I knew exactly when somebody does this, that means this. When somebody does that, that means that. I studied human behavior, even in college with psychology and working at a psych hospital. But I was rarely vulnerable, and I was only vulnerable with the people that I thought loved me that were actually my abusers, or people that I thought I had fallen in love with, but it was only a trauma bond and really just attracting the same energy as the abusers over and over and over until I learned my worth and stepped away from the trauma bonding and the love bombing and all of that stuff to actually do my shadow work. And we talked about shadow work too. And I told her I didn't want to assume anything about her because I didn't know what she had been through or if there were any issues. And she was vulnerable in saying that there were some things that she could work on. So we talked about shadow work and how if it was easy, everybody was doing it because it requires isolation. And that's when you really have to focus on yourself and be alone with yourself. And that's scary and that's hard, but it's worth it. So I just hope that she got as much from meeting me as I did from her. Not a whole, of course, she's not going to do a whole like video on it, but that's what I do. This is my thing. That's not her thing. But it's a great example of someone who was alive, open. She's glowing. She's creative. She's connecting to source. We're not calling it God. We're calling it source. We're calling it whatever you need to call it to be open to those possibilities. And she is all of those things. So it made me want to be vulnerable and share my story with her. And in doing that, That's trust building, vulnerability. These are this more strengths. Um, Drives innovation and creativity. Innovation is something that comes when there's not hierarchy, and that's something that I didn't see surrounding this person at all. I saw a giver, I saw a lover, I saw, somebody very warm as far as the environment that she was in, and I didn't hear anything about hierarchy. And so that will breed innovation and creativity because you're not being stifled or there's no abuse of power. It's a positive environment for growth. And that's what happens when you do away with the hierarchy. Just to draw from my last video, but allows for learning and growth, enhances empathy and compassion, which she was full of, I am full of. And it can actually ease anxiety because there is no judgment. No self-criticism. By observing and validating the emotions that come up within you when you are about to be vulnerable or are being vulnerable, such as anger or fear or anything that you might feel from being vulnerable in the past, or how you might have been afraid to ever be vulnerable because of something that backfired, hurt you, that was a risk, that was a weakness, that was a flaw in you at the time, and you did it with the wrong person and they capitalized on that and they abused your vulnerability, or something that kept you from ever being vulnerable to start with. But yeah, when you observe those feelings and you don't act on them, you just observe it and you validate what exists within you, what happened in the past, what you're feeling at the moment, and whether it be, emotions, the experience, being open to it, people, places, and things, just observing and validating. That's what it takes to be vulnerable. It's a very, very empowering thing. It opens you up to beautiful experiences. You just have to be discerning and knowing who, when, and where. It's okay to be vulnerable, but it can be a beautiful strength to possess. And I'm so glad that I met her and I observed all of these beautiful things about her. And I hope she knows that about herself. And I hope the people around her really appreciate that too. I wanted to just get up on a chair where we were and tell everyone around us that they better never hurt this person and they better appreciate her and they better know what they have. And I'm sure that they do. I'm not saying that they don't, but it just made me want to put a disclaimer out there for the world to see, because I don't want anybody to ever hurt that or make her step back in any way. I want her to keep growing with the path that she's on, because the possibilities are endless. And I am so open to sharing my story with someone who is open to hear it, and that they're working on themselves, and that they're lit. They're lit. So it's so beautiful to have an exchange, and that's what it was. It wasn't just me trauma dumping. It wasn't her just listening. It was an exchange, and we really communicated things that make a difference when you have these experiences as far as how you move forward with it. And I think that we both benefited from that. It wasn't one-sided, but I was a little bit worried about it at first, because she made me feel comfortable to be vulnerable. And I haven't been able to do that with anybody in a while. I can get on here and I can talk about things all day, but I'm talking to a screen and I don't have my comments open, because people have said really mean things in the comments. And until I've gone to the next level of comfortability with this in order to open myself up to be vulnerable to the masses in the comments, not that I'm gonna let it hurt me, but I don't want it to hurt anyone else that might be receptive to my messages, in thinking that if they start their platform and they put themselves out there to help others as well, that they're going to get the same thing back, because they probably won't. And if they do, you need to close your comments too, because let me tell you, I had a chief handler, quote unquote, that was his name on here, chief handler, talking mad shit, even to my son who got on here and took up for me. And we knew who this person was. They were clearly someone who was in our lives. And I used to say chief all the time, but I had a handler, someone that thought they were my handler. And my son even called this person chief handler behind their back for a long time because we knew who this person was. But that, and then the suck it up buttercup, and then the people that even get on here with their rightful name that want to talk shit. And it's gone. It's been rampant. So I don't leave the comments open because I don't want to see it. It's energy to have to go and block them or delete the comment or whatever in order for others to still be receptive to the message and not deter them from starting their own channel and telling their own story, because others need to hear it. And if it starts happening to you, you do the same thing that I did, okay? Don't let that set you back. But yeah, I I will open the comments one day. I just don't want to take a step back as far as promoting the messages, but it's easy to get on here and talk to you guys. But as far as face to face, I haven't told my story to anyone in a long time, because for a long time, there were so many people that if somebody helped me, others around me that didn't want me to advance would want me to tell them who's the name of the person that helped you, so that they could try and go around and block me from getting help. Or twisting my words, twisting what I said in order to fit their narrative to help them drive forward their agenda. I mean, all kinds of things. So I just stopped. I get on here and I'll tell people if they want to take it or leave it. This is my story, and I know that I can help others. It was meant to be documented. I know that it was. That's why it was started. There was no accident. It's not a coincidence. I'm going to keep telling my story because I know others that are going through similar or same experiences in their walk, and it's not in vain. None of it has been in vain. I won't let it be. So, in telling this to someone face to face, I was a little shaky about it, even with someone that made me feel discomfortable. And I had seen something earlier that day that kind of like pushed a button, not in a bad way, but it made me kind of emotional just from the start of my day before I got into that story or met this person. So I was a little worried, but I didn't cry. And normally I don't cry. I've come so far from that, but because of what I saw before I met this person and got into the story, I thought, oh gosh, I'm gonna scare her. The floodgates are gonna open, but they didn't. I think my voice probably shook a little bit, but I was really proud of myself. I was really proud of myself for being able to tell someone my story face to face and have them be receptive and not have them wanting to gain my trust for ulterior motives, to twist it, to turn it, to use it to hurt me or to gossip about it or make fun of it. It was so refreshing, and I'm so glad that I did that. I'm so glad that I had this experience to meet this person, someone beautiful and worthy, and also an opportunity for me to be vulnerable without something malicious going on, undertones. It was awesome. And so I wanted to share that with you guys because humility and vulnerability are amazing things. They are super power strengths, no matter what the internet says, okay? So shout out to this person and all the people around her if she ever sees this, that they better know what a gem, what a jewel they have in even being God allowing them to be in her presence and in their lives, because she's amazing. She's amazing, and I'm so glad that there are people out there like that. I know there are millions, but I just don't get to meet them here in Chattanooga very often. But I know that you guys are all out there, and I love you all. Whether you're there yet or not, I love you all. You all have infinite potential We are powerful beings and we will all get there in our own time. So I love you all dearly, no matter what. God loves you and you're never alone. I'll see you later. Bye.